Good evening. It has been a brutal commute for users of Line 2 today, with subway service suspended for both the morning and afternoon rush.
The TTC says an overnight oil leak is to blame for the shutdown of the subway, which means tens of thousands of people were forced to take buses or alternate forms of transportation. CTV's Beth McDonnell is live tonight with the latest on the situation. Beth.
Michelle, the TTC was really hoping to get subway service back up and running for the evening commute. That hasn't happened. Subway service remains shut down between Broadview, where I am tonight, and St. George, with shuttle buses running between the two stations. This is a problem that's been dragging on now for 11 hours.
Lines out for westbound shuttle buses to St. George.
It's been a miserable Monday commute for many on Line 2. Forced to squeeze on shuttle buses along Danforth and Bloor.
Hot and humid, and everybody was in a bad mood.
It is ridiculous, it is frustrating, it is extremely stressful.
It's very awful.
What was it like?
100% awful. Like being shoved in a sardine can or whatever it is.
The TTC says an underground maintenance car leaked hydraulic oil between Castle Frank and Yonge stations as it was returning to the garage overnight. The leak caused subway trains to slip and have difficulty stopping. The problem discovered around 7 in the morning. A safety concern, shutting down service.
So we have crews down there now, quite literally on their knees with their rags, sweeping, mopping up the oil that was on the track. Because we know what has happened. We're not quite sure why it happened.
To help get people moving, the TTC brought in 100 shuttle buses. The incident affecting service between Woodbine and St. George. Even so, here at Broadview, a massive crowd waiting filled the sidewalk. Some buses too full to let commuters on.
I'm going to Bloor Station, and I'm going to pick something up. I'm disabled, so this bothers me a lot.
Some are more understanding than others.
There's lots of people, everybody's being very inconsiderate. Just have to understand that things happen in life, right? And gotta be kind to these people. They're doing their best to try to get us everywhere across the city.
While the TTC had staff out directing riders where to go, some were still left lost and confused.
They have no plan for when things go wrong, and things go wrong in Toronto all the time.
Many just trying to be patient, waiting for the bus ride to speed up with restored train service. The TTC says the work to remove the oil is meticulous and labor intensive. Tonight, subway service has fully resumed between Broadview and Kennedy stations. The TTC says for those looking to get in and out of the core, there are streetcars from Broadview station, and that people can also take GO trains. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Now back to Michelle.
Thank you, Beth. Police have made an arrest in connection with a fatal shooting on Saturday. 20-year-old Michaela Zane Roxburgh Carpino was found suffering from gunshot wounds in an apartment near Eglinton and Dufferin early Saturday morning. She was pronounced dead at the scene. 27-year-old Harold Santana Simon of Vaughan is charged with first-degree murder in her death. He appeared in court yesterday morning. Police have not outlined the relationship between the suspect and the victim.
A man's been arrested in connection with a deadly slashing downtown yesterday. 50-year-old Jamie Richardson of no fixed address was fatally injured near Dalhousie and Shooter Street shortly before 10:30 yesterday morning. Police say he was slashed in the neck with a makeshift weapon and later pronounced dead in hospital. 50-year-old Joseph Anthony Emery has been arrested and charged with second-degree murder.
Meanwhile, investigators are working to try and piece together the moments leading up to a double shooting near a nightclub in the Keele and Finch area.
It happened shortly after 3:30 this morning, sending 2 people to hospital. CTV's Raheem Ladani is live at the scene tonight with more. Raheem.
Nathan and Michelle, good evening. We are standing here in the alleyway beside NX Lounge. I'm going to step out of frame so you can see some of the debris which is still on the ground. There are a couple of broken crowd control posts which are still laying in here, and it's in and around this area where police believe the double shooting occurred overnight. Several shell casings marked by police evidence markers litter the alleyway beside this after-hours lounge where 2 people were shot overnight.
I found it very scary.
I have an office just down the street. I've been here for over 20 years.
Police were called to NX Lounge in the area of Finch Avenue and Keele Street for reports of a shooting shortly after 3:30 Monday morning. One person was found at the scene in critical condition and taken to hospital, while paramedics say another individual who was also in critical condition made their own way to hospital. Social media video shows what a party inside the lounge looks like. However, after Monday's double shooting, investigators were seen focusing their attention at the back of the building, where left behind were a pair of shoes, empty drinking glasses, and what appears to be a cell phone, all now part of police evidence in their investigation.
And that's crazy, you know. Last year there was a shooting over here across the street as well. I don't know. We've got to do something about these guns, I think, because young people are killing each other left, right, and center.
Violence which has left those who often frequent this area shaken.
It makes me feel far less safe than I have in the past.
The lounge does have security cameras which point at both the front of the building and down the back alley. The latest update from police is that both individuals are still in hospital in critical condition, while police have not released any information about a potential suspect. Reporting live, I'm Raheem Ladani. Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Raheem. Still ahead tonight, provincial police use new 3D technology to try to identify the remains of a child found almost 2 years ago.
First, let's have a look outside. An unsettled start to our week. Showers on tap with the potential for a thunderstorm. Definitely the clouds taking away a lot of the daylight this evening. Jessica Smith is here with a look at the current conditions. I'm seeing a lot of green behind you. What should we expect tonight?
It just continues to be unsettled, Michelle, as we head into the evening. And this is when we're watching for the risk of those thunderstorms and those showers to return. We've seen very spotty showers throughout the day, but that increases as we head into this evening. So keep that in mind. Dry right now, but likely to change over the next hour or so. Now, we are looking at some thunderstorm watches and warnings along the eastern shorelines of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. Owen Sound, Collingwood, Barrie, Shelburne, they're all included, as that's kind of in the direct line of where the heaviest rain is going to be. Temperature-wise, it is very mild. It feels like 28 through Windsor. We are dealing with humidex values in and around southern Ontario. Through the island, through Pearson, it isn't terrible. We're sitting at 18 through the islands, Pearson 22, but it feels like 24. Tonight, the showers continue and it stays really muggy. Coming up, a full look at your long-range forecast, let you know how long this messy weather is sticking around. But right now, send things back over to Nathan.
All right, thank you, Jess. A motorcyclist was taken to hospital by air ambulance after a crash in Oshawa this afternoon. It happened on Conlin Road between Harmony and Riverton. According to Durham Police, the collision involved a motorcycle and car. The driver of the motorcycle, a man in his 40s, was airlifted to a trauma center in Toronto with serious injuries. The driver of the car was not hurt and remained on scene.
The OPP say 4 people were taken to hospital after a multi-vehicle crash in Mississauga. Police say a road rage incident resulted in 2 vehicles stopping in live lanes on the 403 at Mavis. Then a vehicle ran into the back of one of those cars, and 2 more vehicles collided at the scene, causing one to roll into a ditch. 2 of those injured were taken to hospital in serious condition.
I don't know what precipitated this aggression, but obviously sometimes with a short fuse, it doesn't take much. Many drivers narrowly missed crashing into these vehicles until finally one vehicle did, sending it sideways. Other vehicles got caught up in that damage. 2 vehicles ended up in the ditch. One of them rolled over, 2 people trapped. EMS fire extricated the 2 victims in that vehicle. Again, fortunately, the injuries are not considered life-threatening.
A 35-year-old driver has been charged with dangerous operation of a vehicle and stunt driving.
Police in Toronto and Durham are investigating a string of frightening incidents connected to tow trucks and arson, and 2 cases of what video shows are bullets flying from moving cars.
As CTV's John Woodward reports, it's the latest violence from a troubled industry.
This is dashcam video of a frightening encounter just south of Highway 401 on Markham Road in Toronto. The frightened driver calling it in just after 8 p.m. on Saturday.
Yo, someone shot my truck.
The first in a series of violent exchanges in the last 3 days involving tow trucks. About 2 hours later, another tow truck attacked, this time at Finch Avenue East and Markham Road. Then on Sunday afternoon, just before 5 p.m., shots fired at Markham Road and Munham Gate. You can see on this surveillance video that white pickup driving with another white SUV. But the pickup stops. The driver climbs out, injured. An ambulance arrives to help. On another angle, people hear the shots, confused, looking in that direction. Police cordoned off the intersection and canvassed for witnesses. One bullet hole clearly visible in the driver's window.
We talked to several witnesses who say they heard what they described as 3 loud bangs, thinking it was fireworks or maybe a flat tire. Nobody expected it was bullets, and nobody wanted to talk about it on camera.
Perhaps because of the history of the tow truck industry and organized crime, fighting over lucrative tow fees as well as repair and storage charges that can add up. The money figuring in prosecutions of alleged tow truck kingpins, of at least 2 murders, ensnaring several police officers accused of sending tips worth big bucks. One lawyer targeted in a similar drive-by, she survived. A major figure in one prosecution, Alexander Vinogradsky of Paramount Towing. He was shot dead in March. The Toronto Police Service said in a statement, police are investigating incidents of threatening behavior and firearms, including the incidents that took place this weekend. Over in Pickering, Durham police confirmed they're investigating this tow truck fire at around 12:30 Monday morning at Altona Road and Kingston Road as arson. This weekend's tow truck violence not limited to Toronto. John Woodward, CTV News.
Ontario Provincial Police have released a 3-dimensional facial composite. They're hoping to identify a child whose remains were found in the Grand River in Dunnville almost 2 years ago. Police hope the image will be recognized by someone and help investigators solve the mystery. A $50,000 reward is also available for information leading to identifying who the child is.
She was found by a couple of people fishing in the Grand River outside of Dunnville, or in Dunnville, I should say. And it's a female child who is between the ages of 10 and a half months to 3 years. That time frame, it's difficult to pin down. We don't know how long she's been in the water. Yeah, it's different with children, right? It's children, as they travel through the day, they don't leave a trail. They don't leave cell phone records. They're not in stores.
And again, police are asking you to take a look at this image, and they believe that this girl is between the ages of 10 and a half months and 3 years old when she died.
Protesters at the University of Toronto's encampment site say school officials remain unwilling to meet their demands.
The news comes after a weekend meeting between the two sides. CTV's Sean Leithong is live tonight on campus with the latest. Sean.
Well, Nathan and Michelle, we found out that 3 members of U of T's administration met with protesters here yesterday. And like you said, the protesters set out their demands. The administration said a few offerings, but they said the two sides are still very far apart. Tearing themselves from the University of Toronto, former students severing their relationship with the school as those inside the encampment say they're digging in.
We've cleared our calendars for the summer. We've cleared our calendars for the fall. We're comfortable staying here so long as it takes for our demands to be actually taken seriously and for actual commitments to be made. This morning, members of the encampment gave an update on their meeting with school administration, with protesters demanding that U of T divest its endowment from all companies providing military aid or services to Israel, that the university disclose all investments that they have, and cut all ties to academic institutions located on settlement lands. There's an open dialogue about disclosure and divestment, and a flat-out no for the cutting all ties. The school would not confirm those details, saying in a statement, over the weekend, members of University of Toronto administration and student representatives from the encampment on the St. George campus met to discuss substantive issues. While we understand the public's interest, we are choosing not to share details at this time to enable dialogue. We're working hard to find a peaceful resolution. The university has informed protesters that they're on private property and their encampment is unauthorized. While similar encampments in Edmonton and Calgary have been dismantled, encampment protesters here say the university is focusing on negotiations, telling the protesters,
we don't want this to end violently. We don't want to be Calgary. We don't want to be Edmonton. They want a peaceful resolution and an open dialogue.
And they say there were offers of support, fundraising, and Scholars at Risk programs for Palestinian students, but protesters here say they won't budge.
We live here now. Give us our demands.
It's all or nothing for us. We want our demands, and this is not our demands.
But they will continue dialogue with the school, with more meetings expected in the coming days. And protesters have set a deadline of June 30th for administration to respond. They said they have been in contact with administration today, but there was no meeting. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leithong. Michelle, send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. Meanwhile, in Montreal, lawyers for McGill University were in court today seeking an injunction to dismantle an encampment there. The school says the camp poses a security, safety, and public health risk that has escalated tensions on campus. Today, the university asked the judge to order the protesters to stop occupying its grounds and to authorize police to help take down the encampment. A lawyer representing some of the protesters says it will be up to the school to prove its claims that the camp is dangerous.
Government data is painting a dire picture of the staffing situation in Ontario's hospitals and long-term care facilities.
CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has the details.
It's a race against time to shore up the front line of Ontario's healthcare system. Figures obtained by the Canadian press through Freedom of Information show that by 2032, the government expects to need more than 33,000 extra nurses and almost 51,000 more personal support workers. For opposition MPPs, the numbers make clear what Ontarians have been feeling.
That emergency wait times are through the roof, that we can't get access to primary care, that surgical wait times are through the roof, that people can't get into long-term care homes because of staffing issues.
It's data the government's been fighting to keep under wraps, worried it could drive up medical staff wages.
If you're trying to hide something, it's probably because you might be ashamed of it. Well, they should be ashamed.
While progressive conservatives admit there's more to do, they boast
we've registered over 33,000 new nurses in the last 2 years, and we have another 30,000 nurses that are enrolled and studying at a university or college in Ontario.
The Registered Nurses Association of Ontario thinks that is encouraging, but
we need the funding to ensure that they join the workforce and that they stay in Ontario.
With more competitive compensation.
Nurses in home care, in primary care, have significant upwards.
The number of needed nurses and PSWs lands just after the government insisted retention of doctors is not a major concern.
The Premier may want to talk to the family doctors who have a petition going right now to have that health minister fired.
A demand the NDP supports. Other opposition parties are only asking for more from Sylvia Jones.
Be honest and transparent with people about the shortages the systems face and put forward a plan to deal with it.
The staff shortage figures were shared with one news outlet by the Information and Privacy Commissioner, though another outlet's request for that same data was blocked. Critics say it shows just how arbitrary and broken our FOI system is. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Ahead on CTV News tonight, mayoral candidates in Mississauga are set to hit the stage in just minutes for another debate. But the frontrunner has announced she won't be taking part in this or any other debate going forward. CTV's Mike Walker will be live to explain.
The wildfires in Western Canada are growing more ferocious.
That's prompted officials to raise Canada's preparedness level for now. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver has the story.
In the last 4 days, the Parker Lake wildfire has engulfed more than 5,000 hectares of land, and now it's just outside the town of Fort Nelson, BC.
We're still advising any sort of holdouts that are in town to leave if they can. You know, if we have to concentrate on people, we're not able to concentrate on the fire, and that's what we have to be concentrating on.
A small number of people are staying in town despite evacuation orders, but the vast majority of the community has left and are now making do in temporary accommodation hundreds of kilometers away.
People's livelihoods are being destroyed right now, you know, and it's quite bad.
The push for everyone to evacuate comes as experts warn conditions there could get worse today.
The next 48 hours will be a challenging situation for the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality, given forecasted ongoing westerly winds and extremely dry and volatile fuels in the area.
Across Canada, wildland fire activity is increasing, with 144 active fires, 39 of which are considered out of control. In Alberta, the Grand Prairie fire is out of control, but for now, officials say good progress is being made. Still, evacuation orders and alerts in the area remain.
We were able to do really good progress on getting a containment line around the fire. We're approximately 90% with GARD established around the fire.
In Manitoba, about 50 firefighters are battling a wildfire near Flin Flon, with dozens more coming soon from other provinces. Luckily, officials say the fire that was extremely fast-moving hasn't moved at all since Saturday.
Although the fire hasn't grown any, that's a huge fire. We could be fighting that fire a month from now, so it's going to be a lot of work to put out that fire.
The wildfires themselves are bringing smoke and poor air quality to provinces as far east as Ontario and Quebec, which could see those poor conditions as early as today. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
Also in Ottawa, the Trial of Freedom convoy organizer Pat King got underway today. King pleaded not guilty to 9 charges, including mischief, disobeying a court order, and obstructing police. The Crown played a compilation of video today of scenes during the prolonged 2022 protests. Hundreds of big rig trucks and other vehicles rolled into the nation's capital to protest COVID-19 public health measures and Prime Minister Trudeau's Liberal government. The court has set aside 3 weeks for this case.
In the Middle East, Israel is pressing its offensive in southern and northern areas of the Gaza Strip. In Jabalia, Israeli forces pushed into an area where they claim to have dismantled Hamas months ago. Residents fled the northern refugee camp, where health officials said they'd recovered 20 bodies from overnight airstrikes. In the south, tanks and troops pushed across a highway into Rafah, leaving civilians scrambling to find safety. Hundreds of thousands of people are being forced to flee again after about half of Gaza's population took refuge there.
This was Memorial Day in Israel, when the country pays tribute to its fallen soldiers and those killed in attacks. At 11 a.m., sirens announced 2 minutes of silence. This year, the somber day was compounded by the October 7th attack by Hamas that killed 1,200 people. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed once again to defeat the group declared a terrorist organization by Canada. More than 600 Israeli soldiers have been killed since the war erupted. Israel has now transitioned to Independence Day. It began after sundown, with changes made to reflect the somber mood of the country. The official ceremony marking the start of celebrations was scaled down and was pre-recorded. The traditional Air Force flyby was also canceled. A lawmaker at the ceremony said the 76th Independence Day is not complete without the hostages still being held by the enemy.
Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister is headed to the Middle East and the Mediterranean on a 5-day visit. Melanie Joly will make stops in Cyprus, Lebanon, Turkey, and Greece. She'll be discussing how more humanitarian aid can be delivered to Gaza, as well as regional security and stability in the Middle East and southern regions. Joly says changing situations overseas continue to have repercussions in Canada, and she will look for ways we can continue providing support.
Meanwhile, Canada's defense minister was in Washington today for talks with his American counterpart.
A relationship unlike any other in the world. And because in this age of disruption and disorder, we need to work seamlessly, in close collaboration, partnership, and friendship with the United States.
Bill Blair was welcomed to the Pentagon by the Secretary of Defense. Lloyd Austin said he was looking forward to discussing a UN-authorized multinational mission for peace. Other items included promoting global stability and updates on North American aerospace defense modernization efforts.
In New York, the prosecution's star witness took the stand at Donald Trump's so-called hush money trial. Michael Cohen's $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels is at the center of the case. Prosecutors say the money was to buy her silence about an alleged 2006 sexual encounter with Trump. Today, jurors reviewed emails showing that Cohen repeatedly delayed paying her. He said he was trying to put off the deal until after the election at Trump's request. Cohen's expected to testify for several days.
A volcano in Indonesia has erupted for the second time in 3 days. Mount Ibu spewed thick gray ash into the sky for 5 minutes today. Authorities have prepared evacuation tents, but no order to leave has yet been reported. About 13,000 people live within a 5-kilometer radius of the crater. The alert was raised to the second highest level after an eruption on Friday. Volcanic earthquakes at the mountain are still intense, so there is a possibility of another eruption.
There was a rare joint appearance by the king and his eldest son. The monarch handed over a senior military role to Prince William during a ceremony at the Army Flying Museum in southern England. William received the title of Colonel-in-Chief of the Army Air Corps. It's a position held by his father for 32 years. The king says he's saying goodbye with sadness, but the Army Air Corps would go from strength to strength under his son.
And not long after the official handover, the prince carried out his first engagement as Colonel-in-Chief today. He flew an Apache helicopter at the Army Air Corps base in Hampshire, England. William is a former helicopter search and rescue pilot with the Royal Air Force. His brother, Prince Harry, served in the Corps as an Apache commander and co-pilot gunner in 2012 during his second tour of duty in Afghanistan.
There's another debate among the candidates running for mayor of Mississauga tonight.
But the frontrunner has announced she won't be taking part in tonight's debate or any others going forward. CTV's Mike Walker is live in Mississauga tonight with the latest. Mike.
Well, Michelle Nathan, the Carolyn Parish campaign announcing on social media this afternoon that Parish, who is the perceived frontrunner, will not participate in tonight's housing debate and all remaining debates leading up to the June 10th by-election. Now, Parish has come under fire from other candidates who allege she made discriminatory comments about refugees in a previous debate. Now, tonight's debate will still go ahead with the other two leading candidates, the Pika Delmarua and Alvin Tejo. Now, we spoke with the organizers from More Homes Mississauga a short time ago. They are voicing frustration, saying the last-minute decision by the Carolyn Parish campaign has forced them to rejig tonight's debate. Here's more.
We're very disappointed that the decision was made, particularly that it was made so last minute, because we have been in constant communication with the Carolyn Parish team for multiple days, and they have reconfirmed more than once that she was going to be attending. In fact, she personally confirmed it. However, we are still very excited to host two of the other frontrunners in the campaign. I think that it's very clear, based on the turnout that we're expecting tonight, the media interest, and the fact that there is just so much to discuss. I think that that is very telling of how important this issue is going to be to voters on June 10th. So it's unfortunate that one of the frontrunners felt that her comments on that were not going to be helpful.
Now, in a post to Instagram, the Carolyn Parish campaign stated, "We are respectfully declining all debates. Our campaign will continue to focus on a positive, productive approach, engaging directly with Mississauga residents. Carolyn is eager to continue meeting with individuals and groups in the short time that remains until an election day. We regret any inconvenience." Now, we did reach out to Parish's campaign for comment and to get more on the reasons why she has decided to back out of the remaining debates. We have yet to receive a response. Reporting live in Mississauga, I'm Mike Walker. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. Coming up, just a matter of weeks into 3 years of Gardiner gridlock, and already drivers have had it. Exasperated by their ballooning commute, considering changing employment, even opting to forgo seeing family to avoid the drive. We dig into the harsh realities of the lengthy rehabilitation project.
It's been hot, it's been humid, and we've also been dealing with really high pollen levels. So if you live with allergies and you felt a little extra tickle, there's a reason. We're high on almost every single level. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast breakdown when we get a break from the active weather that we've been experiencing so far. And stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
We turn now to a story taking a toll on the lives of 200,000 drivers every single day.
The latest round of repairs on the Gardiner has slowed the commute to a standstill and brought drivers to a crossroads over the construction. In the first of a three-part series on Gardiner gridlock, CTV's Natalie Johnson reports on the impact and the outcry.
With the sun coming up and the coffee on, Brendan Parent is up before most, getting ready for an early shift as an ER nurse.
I absolutely love my job. I absolutely love the people that I work with. It's a great little, it's a family, a second family for me.
But the commute to his job at St. Joseph's Hospital has, in just the last few weeks, more than doubled.
Working in March is extremely stressful. So the traffic coming home after a shift can just add to that.
His Leslieville home, just 13 kilometers from the hospital. But what was a 20-minute drive
traffic and weather on News Talk 1010
can now take the better part of an hour.
7 o'clock in the morning, and this is how bad it is.
Thanks to a slowdown at Strawn, where the Gardiner is now down to 2 lanes in each direction until Dufferin. A 30% cut to capacity, hundreds of cars trying to merge every minute.
I'm really nervous to see how long it's going to take me to get from home to work.
Just the start of a 3-year snarl for 200,000 drivers who traverse the stretch every day. For parents, the feeling is beyond simply dreading the drive.
I kind of felt like I was a prisoner in my own city.
Over there, the cars going westbound are barely moving.
Some 30 floors up above him.
See, it's stopped now.
Ellie Landale is looking down and feeling much the same way.
We look out the window and just see it's not moving. Or we turn on CP24 and look at the traffic report, and it says normal time 8 minutes, now 45 minutes.
Her Queens Quay condo used to be the perfect place to hop on the Gardiner to go see her kids and grandkids west of the city.
We used to go and be able to visit them fairly often, but now what took us 12 minutes on the Gardiner is now taking us 45 minutes. I took the picture from there.
Now her home is a front row seat to the congestion in the core.
You have so many lanes that go into one to get onto the Gardiner, and nobody wants to let you in. And drivers are just getting more and more aggressive because they sit in their car and they get anxious having to just crawl.
A boiling point for anyone on the ground below. Barely 1 month into 3 years of Gardiner gridlock.
3 years can hardly be considered short-term pain for long-term gain, but it is all in the name of critical rehabilitation work. According to the city, 700 meters of elevated expressway need to be replaced, and the structures underneath the Gardiner that support it need to be fixed.
Gardiner is old. It's falling apart in front of our eyes. That's why we have to rebuild it.
The rehabilitation plan was approved pre-pandemic, and the Dufferin to Strawn section is just the second stage of a 6-part plan for the Gardiner. This round of repair will mean lane closures until mid-2027, which officials at City Hall insist is the only option.
Given the nature of the civil engineering work that has to be done to reinforce the structure and to maintain safety of both the workers and the vehicles driving through the corridor, unfortunately we do have to close the lanes.
Some parallel routes, meantime, are also closed for construction. King Street West between Dufferin and Shaw undergoing water main and streetcar track work until November, giving Gardiner drivers fewer options to avoid it as their patience wears thin.
I've been doing this every day for 3 months now. It just keeps getting worse and worse.
People doing this every day, I don't know how you can expect people to put up with this. It's ridiculous.
For Brendan Parent, it may well be enough to convince him to leave his job at the hospital that has never felt further away.
Because of the increased times, the commute, it's the first time where I've actually really considered, okay, maybe it's time to pick up and go somewhere else.
Questioning whether working at the job he loves is worth the stress of the slowdown he sits through in growing Gardiner gridlock. Natalie Johnson, CTV News.
And just imagine if it was snowing or raining heavy, the Gardiner would be even worse.
Oh, that added layer.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you know, some of the drives was foggy days. Does it help if it's sunny at all?
I find unscientifically proven that on the sunnier days it is a little bit easier, but you do need your sunglasses. Active weather obviously impacts your drive. Even if it's just light rain, it really does have kind of an addition to the time on the highway. So it's just a reminder always to drive according to the road and weather conditions. The good news is we do have rain over the next few days, but it's not that heavy downpour, at least not for us here in the core. So hopefully that doesn't impact the drive too much. Weather is brought to you by Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train. We've seen sun, we've seen cloud, we've seen rain, and we're keeping an eye out for some thunderstorm activity as we wrap up our day. But the common denominator is the heat and humidity. We're looking at it at 26 through Windsor, but it feels like 28 here in the city. We're feeling closer to 24. Is that extreme? No, but we haven't had humidex values really up until this point that have been noticeable. So you feel it when you're inside for sure. Even Northern Ontario experiencing some of that warmth. A warm front made its way across as we head really throughout the majority of our day today, and that's what's brought the spotty shower activity. Tonight, no relief. If you don't have AC on just yet, it might be a bit of a challenging night. Fans might be a good help, but we're going to be sitting at 13. We should be at 9. And really right across Southern Ontario, it remains really warm. The good news is, at least for tomorrow, we are seasonal. The only day through this entire week where we are sitting anywhere close to seasonal, at least for the daytime high. We are still watching for some scattered showers, but it will be heavier through Owen Sound, Parry Sound, and out towards Barrie. So keep that in the back of your head if you're traveling anywhere over the next couple of days. That warm front pushed through, behind it a cold front, so we're just seeing kind of waves and waves of shower activity. The good news, at least for the downtown core and through a good portion of the GTA tomorrow, it's very spotty in nature. Different story, though, through, again, Owen Sound, Collingwood, Barrie, Shelburne. They're looking at, well, some thunderstorm activity as we wrap up our day, and there's that line of showers there that kind of exemplifies that. So as we head in towards the day tomorrow, mostly cloudy, the chance of showers very spotty. Getting into our Wednesday, we start to see this break up just a little bit. So high pressure will move back in temporarily as we head through the middle point of the week. As far as how much, areas up towards Barrie through Peterborough, you can see where that line of showers is, where we have those storm watches and warnings. That's where the most significant rain is going to be. Seasonal tomorrow for the high, but the low staying well above that seasonal mark of 9 through the next 7 days. Through Wednesday, the chance of showers off and on, but really we're looking at more in the way of just some scattered cloud cover. Thursday, beautiful. Friday, a few showers are going to make their way through, but looking ahead to the long weekend, the chance of maybe a light shower on Monday, but we're in the 20s and we have sunshine, a great way to celebrate the long weekend. Nathan.
All right. Thank you, Jess. Also tonight, some types of cancer are on the rise. We have details of a new study highlighting the concerns, but also the success of prevention and early detection. New projections show a growth in cancer trends over the next few years.
As CTV's Pauline Chan reports, the study also aims to identify gaps in cancer care and prevention.
The latest cancer projections show new cancer diagnoses increasing to 247,000 in 2024, with the number of cancer deaths increasing as well.
There is a projected increase in the number of new cases, so up 8,000 new cases from last year, at about over 247,000 new cases in 2024. And also, we do see that there will be a projected increase in the number of new deaths, up 1,400 new deaths from last year to over 88,000 projected deaths for 2024.
However, it's a mixed result since cancer rates are down for many types of cancer, but the increase and aging of our population has resulted in more cases overall.
Progress has been made is colorectal cancer, where we see the largest drop in incidence rate over time, and this is largely due to the organized colorectal screening programs available.
And lung cancer, which remains the most diagnosed form of cancer and the biggest killer for men and women, also shows improvement.
Decrease in mortality rate for lung cancer, which is another great success story. And really that's due to all the efforts in tobacco control and strong policies and smoking cessation programs that are available.
You as an individual are better off now than you were 40 years ago. But our healthcare system is facing increasing challenges because of our aging population and because of the lack of resources.
Dr. Nisha Danny says aggressive screening campaigns won't work with everyone.
Over 2 million people in the province don't have access to family physicians, so it's really hard to sometimes take advantage of screening programs.
And there are some cancers that are projected to rise: liver and intrahepatic bile duct cancer, kidney cancer, melanoma, and non-Hodgkin lymphoma. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
A new study published today by the Canadian Medical Association Journal finds more and more people are being diagnosed with cancer in the emergency room. Between 2012 and 2017, more than a quarter of all cancer patients in Ontario were diagnosed during an ER visit. Doctors say the number has increased substantially since the pandemic. The study finds those patients have worse outcomes than those diagnosed by their primary doctor.
A coalition of health organizations is calling on the province to develop a comprehensive alcohol strategy. In a letter released today, the group of 15 federal and provincial associations says despite plans to expand alcohol sales to 8,500 more stores in Ontario, there's no action plan to reduce potential harms. Alcohol-related harms cost the province more than $7 billion a year, which is more than tobacco and opioids combined. The coalition says the last time the province increased access, the number of ER visits linked to alcohol increased by more than 24,000 in 2 years.
Listen to this. Researchers at Western University in London say they have found a pathway to potentially cure ALS. It relates to the targeting of the interaction between two proteins that could halt or fully reverse the disease's progression. Researchers discovered that when the proteins interact with each other, the toxicity of the ALS-causing protein is removed. That significantly reduces damage to the nerve cell and therefore prevents its death. It will be at least 3 to 5 years before human trials can begin. A $10 million donation from the Temerity Foundation will fund and accelerate the research. After the break, GameStop shares surge, driven by the return of a key figure behind the frenzy several years ago. We'll tell you what's going on this time in our business report just ahead.
The Bare Naked Ladies are back and are set to be the first act to play at Sobeys Stadium. Tune in to find out how you can win tickets. CP24 Breakfast, where Toronto gets its everything every morning.
We are looking at an above seasonal and mostly unsettled week ahead with scattered showers, so make sure you pack your umbrella. There is a break from the active weather and sunshine moves back in this weekend. Coming up, I'll have a recap of your full 7-day forecast.
Hot and humid, and everybody was in a bad mood.
It is ridiculous, it is frustrating, it is extremely stressful.
Updating our top stories, a difficult day for commuters on Line 2. Tens of thousands of travelers forced onto buses or alternate methods of transportation after an overnight oil leak caused a shutdown of subway service between Woodbine and St. George. Westbound service has now resumed. Eastbound service, however, is still down, with work continuing to get it back up and running.
That's crazy, you know. Last year there was a shooting over here across the street as well. I don't know. We've got to do something about these guns, I think, because young people are killing each other left, right, and center.
Toronto police are investigating a double shooting near a nightclub in the Keele and Finch area early this morning. One person was found at the scene and rushed to hospital. The other victim made their own way to hospital. Both are listed in critical condition. So far, no word from police on possible suspects.
We're very disappointed that the decision was made, particularly that it was made so last minute.
And ahead of tonight's debate in the Mississauga mayoral campaign, the frontrunner made a surprise announcement saying she won't be taking part in this or any future debates.
Remember to keep up to date day and night through our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca, and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know.
So-called meme stocks came roaring back today after a social media post by a roaring kitty. Amber Kanwar has more from the B&M Bloomberg newsroom.
Shares of GameStop jumped 75% today, sparked by the return of an online commentator who helped drive a frenzy for the stock back in 2021. Keith Gill, more popularly known by his social media alias Roaring Kitty, made a series of cryptic posts on his X account today, prompting a flurry of trading in so-called meme stocks. These are stocks that trade outside the company's fundamentals. In this instance, it was the fact that this was his first social media post in 3 years and made no reference to any stocks. Other meme stocks like AMC Networks surged 100% at one point, and in Canada, BlackBerry shares popped. The antics of these meme traders were captured in a movie called Dumb Money, released last year, starring Seth Rogen and Pete Davidson. Now let's take a look at the closing market numbers. The Canadian dollar was flat around 73 cents U.S. Oil prices in the U.S. edged up modestly to around $78 per barrel, while they slipped in Canada, oil prices ending below $65 per barrel. And it was a down day on the TSX, shedding about 50 points. That's the latest in business. I'm Amber Kanwar in the BNN Bloomberg Newsroom.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
PWHL Toronto will be looking to book their spot in the first ever Walter Cup this evening.
By step line, quick work panic. Now Emma Malte gets it back for Toronto. Fast from the point. They score!
The team is coming off a 2-0 win over Minnesota on Friday at Coca-Cola Coliseum. They're looking to sweep their series when they hit the ice tonight in Minnesota.
just ahead, a teen who can say he's done it all on the baseball diamond, taking a swing at all 9 positions in a single game. We'll tell you why in moments.
Tonight, wildfires ravage Western Canada as strong winds push thick smoke to the east.
That's a huge fire.
Thousands forced to evacuate, with more now ready to leave. We'll have that story and more later on CTV National News.
And a reminder, the CTV News at 6 podcast is available as a download every weeknight. And to those of you listening to the newscast live right now on News Talk 1010, hi. Thanks for tuning in.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Finally tonight, a special final game for a high school baseball player in Ohio. Michael Patelis played all 9 positions in a game this weekend. He started at third, he moved to short, played second base before moving over to first. He then moved through the 3 outfield positions, and in the 9th, he took the mound and ended the game by catching while his brother pitched. It was the final game of the star player's high school career before he goes off to college in the fall.
But did they win?
Yeah. You know what? I'm not even sure.
We don't know.
But he got to play all the. I don't think it matters, right? We got to send him off on a. He's on the news. Come on.
Right.
He won.
Finishing on a high note. Hopefully the forecast as well. Temperature-wise, absolutely on a high note. It has been muggy. You can feel it when you're outside. You can feel it when you're inside. We're getting into that time of year where air conditioning becomes key to being able to enjoy the weather, whether you're inside or outside. As we head through the rest of our evening, that line of showers that's prompting those storm warnings up towards areas through Owen Sound, Shelburne, through Barrie. Keep that in mind if you're traveling or commuting anywhere there this evening. The chance for rain lingers for us here in the GTA, but the heavier showers definitely are going to impact that line from Owen Sound through to Barrie, even Muskoka, Peterborough getting that as well. Temperature-wise, it's warm. We've actually bumped up a degree. We're sitting at 24 here in the city, 26 in Windsor, 24 in London, and 25 in Niagara. We will moderate just a little more seasonal into the day tomorrow, but that's the only seasonal one we have for the rest of the week. We are above through the daytime highs and overnight lows right through to the end of the long weekend. So something to look forward to if you're a fan of the heat.
That long weekend's looking fabulous. Hope it stays that way. Thank you, Jess. That's it for us, but be sure to join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zraida Allman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and the whole team here at CTV, thank you for watching and have a great night.